Welcome to Spill the Cafecito, where every cafecito comes with a real conversation.
And we're serving up honest talk on culture, relationships, music, life, and everything in between, all with a little Latino flavor.
So grab a cafecito
And let's spill. Wow, JP, we are embarking on this journey of this brand new podcast.
Correct.
I am so excited to spill the cafecito with you.
Same. We literally had a conversation about this maybe, a week, a few days?
Maybe 2 weeks ago?
Stop it.
Yeah, because we were literally sitting down where we work. I'm not going to say the name.
Correct.
And we were talking about whatever we were talking about. And you literally were like, we should start a podcast. And I was like, yeah.
What are we going to call it? What are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? I mean, we talk about everything.
Well, that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
But we wanted to really figure out the reason why we were doing this to make it make sense for us. And what we came down to was we share a lot of similar interests. But we come from two different backgrounds, even though we're both Puerto Rican and gay.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, we wanted to
fabulously
share those
gay.
stories with
I want to say fabulously gay.
Some of us. Some of us are on the older side, a little more.
Little tío. I give primo. I'm still primo.
So just make sure you back up a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, we're good. This is exciting, and I'm so pumped for this. The very first thing I want folks that see us to know is that even though we're calling it Spill the Cafecito, we are drinking Powerade because I'm not drinking coffee at 7:30 at night.
We could.
We could.
Chocolate caliente. Have you ever had that?
Of course.
Guala used to make them the best.
I love that.
Oh my God, I loved it.
So, my name is Anthony, and you are?
And I'm JP Pagan, but you can just call me JP because someone uses my last name. It's not Pagan.
Although I've heard people at work be like pagan, and I'm like, oh.
You know, funny story with that. I literally used to sit next to someone who's also, so my actual legal name is Jose, my government name is Jose Pagan. And I have to say Pagan with the accent because I'm Puerto Rican, you have to use the gan in it. But I used to sit next to someone who's literally, their name was de Jesus, which means of Jesus. So it was like Jose of Pagan and Jose of Jesus. So we literally sat next to each other. It was crazy.
¿Tú pones el acento?
Sometimes if I'm feeling spicy.
Because technically, yo tengo un acento en ahí.
Yes, you do. Yes, it is.
But it's not common to
how do you introduce yourself? Do you say Rodriguez or you say Rodriguez?
So, what's the difference? Say that again.
I
was like, I heard the same thing twice.
Rodriguez or Rodriguez?
Okay, I pronounce the Z.
Okay.
But it depends on my audience. If I'm feeling spicy, it's Rodriguez. If I'm not, it's two ways. Rodriguez or Rodriguez.
Okay,
I've heard it every way, and I'm like,
or Tony if you catch him on a bad day.
And if anyone calls me Tony, it is their ass 100%. There are only
my
two people.
My favorite memory of that
at work that can call me Tony, and they know who they are.
I love that for you.
So yeah, we wanted to basically introduce ourselves to whoever might be listening. I don't know who those people are, but if you're tuning into this first episode, thank you very much, and say hi. But what I think we should do is really give our viewers or listeners an opportunity to understand who we are and why we bring a unique perspective. So what I think I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is ask you a few questions.
Consent is everything.
Isn't it? Is really ask you a few questions about your identity and your upbringing, and be as open and candid, as honest as you want, and then I'll give you my iPad and you can ask me.
Sounds good.
So
shoot away, good friend.
And I think context matters, right? So a lot of the reason why we wanted to do this podcast, or really the reason to do this podcast, is to really do a deeper dive into our personal identities and what those identities mean to us, but really explore and learn from other people's identities. So I say that to say this: we will be talking about our experiences, but by no means are we a monolith. We're not speaking for everyone in the community, whether it be the Latin community or the queer community.
Correct.
So we intend fully on bringing outside perspectives that sound and look different to us, because I think that's important to bring to the table as well.
Correct, because we're a spectrum. So we want to make sure that we honor the spectrum of our community and really involve them in the conversation as well.
Well said.
Yeah.
So let's talk identity, JP. If you were meeting someone for the first time, and they asked you to describe yourself to them and what your identities are, what would you say?
I would say Latino, proud, gay, a professional, a son, a brother. I mean, we can go on with the family because I have a huge family. So my family is like in my DNA. Like I purposefully move in the way I carry myself is very like reflective of like that upbringing and my parents were everything to me, especially my mom. I feel like my father was definitely in the picture, and he was an awesome provider, and we're not knocking him for not providing because he definitely did provide.
Yeah.
But when I got the nurturing was definitely from mommy and abuela. They were literally the ones like doing the nurturing, birthdays, graduation. So it's just like the maternal nurturing that I got from like little came all from like the feminine, and I think it's very common in our community to have very strong women.
Yeah.
Even down to like discipline. Like my father did not discipline. I mean, like we would run for mommy in the chancleta and the correa, but like daddy, we got away with everything.
No, mommy will put the fear of God into you.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So I guess I take that lens. I'm very much I'm a nerd. I love anime. I'm wearing Star Wars. I didn't even try to wear this today.
You do like
but
Star
like
Wars,
I do love.
Your birthday was Star Wars themed, wasn't it?
It was in my graduation. It was. Shout out to my partner who put that out for me. He did that. Yeah, he did that for me. But
you have a good man, by the way.
Yeah. So, and I feel like I'm also like a melting pot of like this like American culture that I infused because I came here at age 8. So I was in Puerto Rico from 1 through 8.
I was just gonna ask, like, you weren't born here, right? You were born in Puerto Rico.
Sí, en Salinas. Okay. In Salinas, yeah.
Anything for Salinas.
Yes. and the seafood. Shout out for the seafood in Salinas.
I wish I liked seafood. I just another topic for another day.
Correct. Anyways, but I came here at age 8. I learned English here. So it's not like it was being. I mean, I think we got. In school, yeah, I learned it all in school, and also watching Dora. Shout out to Dora the Explorer.
Really?
Yes,
so
I love.
Dora
yes, I am the Dora generation.
Exploradora. Okay.
And I learned most of my English from school, and where I also got bullied for not pronouncing things correctly, and I was in like the ESL. Thank you. Program for a while.
Yeah.
And the transition from that program, because I was surrounded by mostly like Latinos, Mexicans, to then being switched to like an all English. Because when I started picking up English, and luckily I picked it up real quick.
Yeah.
Because I made friends. I've been such a like social butterfly, and I can talk to a wall if you leave me.
You are a social butterfly. You can make friends with
anyone. To a fault, because I tend to be one I liked. I'm working on not being
it's
likable.
A good skill to have. It's not a read.
I know, but I'm trying to not need or have people desire to be liked all the time. Okay. I feel like I'm trying to find that in the space. So anyways, where was I?
Sorry, you're talking about learning. You were in
ESL. Correct. So the transition from that program to then like a full English was difficult. I feel like the bullying was happening in the front of first like being picked on for being Latino, and then came right around the corner was being gay, and I would hear kids whisper things behind me, whether I walk funny, talk funny, whatever you have it. But like I grew up like heavily bullying. I remember like even in elementary school, people making comments about like the way I spoke, the way I carry myself. If I didn't say Puerto Rico and say Puerto Rico, like it was always they will make fun of me. Even teachers. Really? I'm not just talking about students.
But like Latino teachers?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
And my mother, I'm gonna give a shout out to her. Her response to that was really, let's get you to learn English and perfect it and get rid of your accent as quick as possible.
To assimilate.
Yeah, very quickly. To the point that even in almost like fast forwarding, I remember like when the nickname JP came about, it was almost abandoning Jose. So it's almost like Americanizing my name. Like, and I realized this as an adult, but I'm just like, I literally.
So did you pick JP as your name, or was it given kind of to you to help you assimilate? It
was given to me, and it was actually later in life. It was almost like after high school when I started dating my first partner.
Yeah.
Where really like, and I told him I don't like Jose. It's like it's very common, and now I'm like, I don't regret it because we evolve as human beings.
Of course.
And I still like JP, and I will answer to Jose. My grandma refuses. Gola does not do JP. She was just like, tú eres Jose and you're going to be Jose for the rest of my life.
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yes,
I love
100%.
that you call her Guela, because for me, my grandmother is Huela.
Oh, I use both.
Really?
I use both. Yeah, I use
Okay.
both. And I feel like even in our family structure, we use both.
It's interchangeable?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even my mother calls her own mother Guela. We all call her Guela.
Really?
It's like a thing. It's like that's her title, and I feel like that's like the highest of the
It's more
title.
of a title than
The
than
food
it is a
chain.
name.
It's like the
Okay.
food chain. It's the same thing with bendición. Like, you know, you get
Yeah,
to
yeah,
somewhere, you have to say bendición, and at
Which
first I
we'll
didn't.
talk about that too, because these are things that in my family we just never really did.
No, there was no
And I
bendición.
will tell you, like,
You didn't greet Titi with a bendición.
No.
It was disrespectful if you didn't.
I promise you, my upbringing is so wildly different than your typical Puerto Rican upbringing. Our extended family does more of that than our immediate nuclear family. But anyway, we'll get to me in a moment. You touched on a couple of things, right? You were talking about the bullying in school, but you were in elementary school around what time? What year was that?
Oh my God.
So you were born in what year?
1990.
You were born in
Thank
1990, okay.
I'm 30 something, and some of us are older than that, but we will not. We will
Wow.
not. We don't judge. This is like no. It's not. Is it a Planet
we
Fitness?
listen and we don't judge. Is that what they say on the internet?
Planet Fitness.
I don't see the PF signs anywhere. This is a judgment-free zone. I don't know about that.
We need a sponsor, Planet Fitness, if you're listening.
I need to join the gym. Is what JP is saying.
I'm not saying all that. You always get face though. It's a face though.
It's so funny. But yeah, so you were born in 1990. So you would have been in elementary school until like what?
In Puerto Rico to maybe like
2000.
97. So I probably came here around like 98. Because I remember
did you
being
have like
8.
middle school and then high school? Or did you go from elementary to high?
I went. So in Puerto Rico, I went to like elementary, came here, went to the rest of elementary, then middle school here, high school here.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So there was a split elementary.
So you came here at 8 years old.
Correct.
And so what grade is that? Second?
Third grade, yes.
Okay.
I remember I had Mrs. Carrasquillo was my first. I still remember that.
Like we all
That's
had a
crazy.
Mrs. Carrasquillo. I think we had a Mrs. Carrasquillo also.
She was, I mean, like in Puerto Rico, I used to get hit by the teachers.
Yeah.
And she wanted to do that here, but it was not.
But
visually, because I will say this, I was always in detention. I was talking to friends. I was talking to anybody.
You were the chatty Cathy of the group.
I was. Like in my report card was like, he's a great student, but he talks too much. He's a this, but he talks too much. And here I am talking too much.
This is why we need a podcast.
Correct.
Whereas I was literally the opposite.
Correct. Really?
Yeah.
Why? I do not see that for you.
JP, I always tell people I'm a paid extrovert, but when I'm not on the clock or I'm not doing something where I need to be on, I'm literally right here on this couch rotting. And I love that. There are times where I do things. Don't get me wrong, I'm a social person, but like I would much prefer to just be by myself in a cold, dark room with the AC going and just listen to music. That is literally my gig.
I mean, like, I can see that because I'm in your space, but I can't see that not at work.
No.
If you told me that you were not an extrovert,
we'll talk about the assimilation when we talk about careers and podcasting and all that in the podcast.
Correct.
So you were talking to me just now about like getting bullied, and you know it started off with how you phrased words or how you pronounced things, and then it eventually became a situation about your perceived sexuality. Because I'm sure at that point you're probably what, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
You probably don't know fully what's happening, but you know something's different.
100%. And I kept hearing the word pato around me.
Yeah.
It was like every time I see any feminine guys, the pato word would come out.
So for those who don't know, a slur in the Spanish community for gay is pato, but the literal translation is duck. It's like calling someone a faggot. It is the highest insult that you can hurl at a gay person.
Yeah.
In the Spanish community.
Yep. 100%. And I remember, and even to this day, like my first conversation about not even being gay, but about gay people was with my grandmother, who would say like, oh, a pato is a gay person, is someone who is trapped in a woman's body, a male who's trapped in a woman's body.
Wow.
So I'm like, I was getting even misinformation at that age. And she was, I wouldn't say she was judgmental when she was saying that, because she wanted to be like informative.
Yeah.
But I can see that, not that she was not okay with it, but that there was some sort of like negative connotation with it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's the fear of the unknown. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
There's a perception, I would say probably misperception of what being gay is.
Correct.
And so all they know is what they've heard from someone else or what they've seen on TV. And at that time, you're getting the shows on Telemundo, Univision, that show the drag queens or whatever.
Extremely feminized. And I feel like we didn't show the spectrum. We didn't show, the professional. We didn't show, the more mass. And not that there's anything wrong with being feminine or mass. But I'm saying, like, I just wanted to see me. And I I did not see myself anywhere at that time.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think we have had conversations about like you seeing like the first gay person in like in the real world or like any of those like shows, and like I didn't get to see someone that even resembled my version of gay, of my gayness, into like maybe like high school, or maybe, you know.
So when were you in high school? What was your first year?
2004.
2004.
2004. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we not talk about years?
Okay, let's not even go there, because and the reason I say that, JP, is honestly for context, because in 2004, like, things are wildly different than when I was in high school in the mid to late 90s.
Oh, right? Oh, you were in the 90s.
I started high school in 1997.
So were you hearing the word pato around you?
It's since I was a kid. But why are you calling me a duck? Ducks are beautiful. I love ducks. It didn't make sense to me.
So you never perceived it as like they were being...
I knew that it was insulting. Yeah, I just didn't know why it was insulting. Because, not to make it about me, because we're really talking about you, but the reality is I didn't know that being gay was wrong until someone made me feel wrong for being different. Right? And I didn't, as a kid, you don't know that you have an attraction to the same sex.
Correct.
You don't know that you're...
I mean, I did. And I can remember back to Puerto
Rico.
Right? To a degree.
You know that there's a difference in you. You don't know the words for it. You hear the bad words for it first before you hear, oh, it's just homosexuality.
Correct.
Right? And so when your foray into this world is negative, it's no wonder why there's a high suicide rate. There's no wonder why people think, oh, I need to be fixed. There's something wrong with me. And then you add religion into that, and it becomes a whole nother topic,
and
right?
Family structure, and it's machismo culture, and we can go on and on and
every
on.
culture experiences this. When it comes to the Latin culture, there's this norm that's been established that if you are a man or someone born with male parts, you are a provider. You are the doer. You are the macho one. Anything that's perceived as anything other than that, is pato.
Correct.
So you came to the U.S. in the, I would say, probably mid to late 90s, right?
Yep.
You talked about how you learned how to speak English. Let's talk about coming out.
That happened, I want to say, right after high school, because I started dating someone. And I remember very distinctly, I didn't get the opportunity to come out to my parents. It was more like my parents wanted to ask me what was going on. Because they were seeing that I was hanging out with a specific individual who they could see was more than just a friendship. So I remember...
how do they see that? Were you like... I don't know. Not that you would be flaunting a relationship.
I wasn't flaunting the relationship at that point. At that point, we were really like, we would hang out in front of my parents and we would call each other friends, mi amigo, you know?
Yeah.
But my mom could definitely see that there was some inner turmoil. And anytime that she asked me about
Contigo.
Like... Exactly. And anytime that she asked me about a novia or a girlfriend, it's just, I would like shy away from the conversation, or I would like shut down, or it was very just
she didn't have any inkling of you growing up?
I feel like she did. I feel like my grandmother did, and it's weird that my grandmother had that conversation. I feel like she was maybe trying to be informative, and it came out to me as negative, and it made me kind of like go back into myself. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm being seen by someone. And it was like abuela at the kitchen table in the morning, you know what I mean, having my little, coffee with her. So I'm like, I felt seen, and I was like, no, like retreat. So like I avoided any conversations about relationships, girlfriends, any of that. In fact, I made it a point that if there was a movie and there was kissing scenes, I would step out of the room.
De verdad.
Yeah, because I would avoid it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, but in high school, I remember like, and I think it was like one day after like, actually, it was probably in college or freshman year of college.
Yeah.
I remember her picking me up and being very somber that day, like kind of super down. Like she was super random. I remember mommy always had every crepe playing, and it was like you get in the car and you're just like, mommy, please turn down the music because the gringos are looking. Gringos, I'm sorry, it's a slur, but you know what I'm saying.
We say
respectfully.
It with love.
Correct. I'm like, please, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me. Now I love me so every crepe. Anyways,
in so long.
I miss actually, and I'm gonna circle back to this, but like I miss the morning where we used to like clean, and my mom used to wake us up at 7:30 a.m. I still love you, mommy, for that. And she was playing her salsa. You needed to get up, you needed to get it together, you needed to clean, and everyone was cleaning, even my father. You know, like she did not play. Everyone
got their chore.
Everyone had their chores. But anyways, I digress.
I love that.
Going back, but But I now miss that, and it's funny. I still do it. I still have like my Saturdays.
De verdad? Okay,
Yes,
I love
and I
that.
still play music. Music is in my DNA. I play music. I go to bed to any like films. I always have audio going on all the time. It helps me clear my mind.
Yeah.
It helps me stay present. But anyways, where was I going with that? Oh,
No.
yes. So my mother picked me up that day, super somber, no music playing, which I was like, oh God, like what's going on? And I thought like someone died. I'm asking her about like, how's abuela doing? I'm asking her about, I'm naming family members because I'm like, this is like really, somber. I'm like, what's going on here? And I remember she parked right in front of our building in Holyoke. And she looked at me and she was just like, there's something going on with you. And I'm like, going on with me? It's like, yeah, something that you're not telling me. And I'm like, no, mommy, like everything's like.
What are you talking about?
Have you heard something like my grades are good? Exactamente.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my grades are fine. I'm like, nothing.
You're acting weird.
I'm like, exactly. So and she was just like, I just have to ask you a question. Are you gay? And I kid you not,
Mom.
it was just like every bright light, I mean, like this is all in my head, was shining upon me, and all I wanted to do was literally to like run away.
Yeah.
Run away. And the only thing that I remember coming out of my mouth was something to the effect of just like, yeah, and I hope that's not a problem.
Work.
And it's funny because I remember that so vividly, and I'm like, and I remember her looking at me.
Yeah.
And looking down and looking at me and her finding words. And it got very awkward. And it must have been maybe like 5 to 10 seconds, but it felt like an eternity.
Of course.
To me. And I'm like, please, mommy, say something. Dime algo. Like, I'm like, give me something. And she opened the door, got out, and said nothing to me. At all. So I didn't get like.
There's no reaction to
There was no reaction. There was just like, I dropped a nuke. And the enemy is not responding.
Well,
I mean, it's my mother, not the enemy.
She literally
like,
pulled the grenade handle.
Correct. And said, here you go. It exploded in my hands.
Yeah.
And she was just like,
just bounced.
On to the next thing. And I'm just like, the bomb went off.
So now you're feeling like, what is she approving? Is she disapproving? Where do we go from here?
I immediately took it as like disapproval. Yeah, because I'm like, people who don't want to talk about something, to me, at least to me, now I learned that people need space.
Yeah.
But at that time, fresh out of college, like still young and impressionable, like I thought like, oh, like I hear horror stories about people getting kicked out. I'm like, she's gonna go tell my dad. Like my dad, although he's not like a disciplinary, like I know he's gonna have issues with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is it gonna take it? She's gonna start talking to everybody. I'm like, she's gonna yell at me. Like, what is about to go down?
And you were 18, 19?
19. I'm like, what's gonna go down? Lily got upstairs. House is quiet.
Mm-hmm.
She says nothing to me for the entire day.
I would be wrecked.
6 days go by.
6 whole.
My mother has not looked at my direction. She drops me off at college, does not talk to me, giving me full silent treatment. Will give me one word at most when I ask, like, what time she's coming to pick me up. She'll give me a time. There's no, like, the besito or the hugs or this. Very just, like, and again, I'm taking this all like it's only a matter of time before she says like, you gotta go. Like, you gotta pick up your shit and go. Here comes day 7. And I remember because I'm literally watching Star Wars.
Live.
Saturday morning cartoons. Okay. I mean, Star Wars for JP, who used to, by the way, record in tape his cartoons because if he missed them, he wanted to. It was his form of DVR at the time.
I love that so much.
At the time. I remember I'm watching my cartoon and she was like, you need to shut that off. And I'm like, here's the moment. Here it is. She's about to tell me like, get your shit and get out.
Okay.
And she looked at me and she was just like, you're my son. And I'm proud of you, whether you're pato or not pato. She's like, I love you. In fact, I spoke to your father and I told him if he doesn't like it, he can leave.
Work.
And I just remember the flood of tears. Oh my God, I got goosebumps.
I'm like, tears. I'm trying to hold that shit back because like
flood of tears. I was just like, first I was scared.
Yeah.
And getting that relief of just like, oh my God, my mom sees me and she's okay with it. And I'm like, now I'm getting kicked. Because that's what you think about. You don't think about like life in general, you think about like your stable home is about to be like blown
ripped from you.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, and I'm 19 years old. I'm not ready to move out. I don't have a job. You know, I can't support myself. I'm starting college. I'm trying to figure out life. So I'm like, I'm not ready to like become like a full-on adult. Like you're an adult by 19 years old, but I mean like in the full sense. In the full
I mean, I look at the 19-year-old in my family, and I'm like, you're not an adult yet.
100%. So I'm like,
you can barely wipe your own ass.
I'm like, I can stay here. And that's all. Yeah. That to myself. And like, I remember her holding me for what must have felt like 10 minutes. I'm sure it was shorter, but like it must have like that's all she said.
Like she just held you,
and she held me for such a long time. And
can I ask you remember crying. Yeah. Was your family like the huggy, lovey type?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we
so
were
you're
like,
accustomed to this type of love.
We were. Oh yeah. We've been always very huggy, very touchy. Bendición. You get into the room.
So you must have felt like so relieved and
yes, because she was essentially like weaponizing her love the past 6 days and not giving me any. And I'm like,
but did you ever have a conversation about that and where that came from?
She said she was scared. She said I needed to process. Okay. And I was scared for you. I was scared for myself as well because she's like, I didn't know how I was going to tell your dad. I didn't know what to tell your dad. I didn't know what to tell your siblings. I didn't know what I can say or not say if you were comfortable with me saying. It's like, she's like, yeah. In a sense, she was like, I didn't know if, in her words, not words, if I was going to out you. So I'm like, yeah. And the effects of that.
Okay. So she's like, at least being thoughtful. Yeah.
And she contemplated, she's like, well, maybe I don't even tell anyone. And like, this stays between, him and I, and then we'll figure out something. So she's like, I contemplated that. But she's like, something in me was just like, this is my son. What am I doing? Yeah. What am I doing? Like, that's my child.
But even that conversation is like, I get the intention behind it. Yeah. It's protection at its core, but it's not your story to tell. No. And there's no secret to keep. No. So it's not like you have to keep things between us, but I get why you would think that. You think that if it got out, people would view you differently, and that's your baby, so you're going to ride for your baby, but also view the parents differently, because a lot of what happens is when people come out, they think, well, the parents did something wrong, or someone was molested, or something happened that turned this kid gay. Correct. Right? Correct. And that's certainly not the case. Obviously, we know that. Yeah. But, our parents don't know that. And they're from a different generation than we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
My God, JP, I had no idea.
It's crazy. And
that's wild.
I think back of like how at that time, I mean, we're talking about 2008, 9, Yeah. I mean, it's still like, yes, we're definitely in the 2000s, but like, it still wasn't like cool. We weren't still being very celebrated. Taboo. You know what I mean? Very taboo. Not a lot on television. Any of the representation you're seeing is not exactly inclusive or really
in a positive light.
Correct. We weren't talking about professionals. We were talking about like patos in fashion and this and that. And again, I'm using that word very loosely, given that
but that's given the context because of how we grew
up.
So
correct. So it's just like you will see them in just like the fashion, the creative director, but
and that's what people think you are going to become.
Exactly. And then like I know that, and she also mentioned this to me like in passing. She was like, I also did not know if you wanted to like dress like a woman. Yeah, because she didn't understand it.
That's a processing part of it. It's like, oh wait, so my son's not going to be my son anymore. Correct. All of a sudden, it's going to be my daughter.
Correct.
And you're like, if you knew a smidge about me, you would know that that's not it.
Correct.
But at the very core, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, but all she would hear from my grandmother, and I go back to that conversation, is like a pato or a gay person is a male or female that's trapped in the body of a male. I just hit the mic.
That's okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, wow. So I found her to be, at that time for me, was just like brave in the fact that she even backed her child. Because I've heard horror stories about like people being kicked out, which leads to, drugs, which leads to, substance abuse, which leads to like
contracting STDs.
Correct. So I'm like, I could not be more blessed to have like the mom that I have, even with her flaws. And believe me, we have had it out since then.
We need a mommy issues episode.
Correct. We need a mommy issue like whole episode. But I mean, like, from setting up the foundation for her son and being protective of her child. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to be wished to be born under nobody else than her care. Because I was like, when it mattered and when you needed nurturing, when you needed protection, which is like the foundation of what a parent should provide to a child.
She was there.
My mom was like locked in. She was just like, nope. And if your father has an issue with him, he can go to it. I'm like, work.
Carajo.
Work. Exactamente. Get out. I was just like, couldn't be like much happier. And after that, I feel like we did not have much conversation about it. We both came into an understanding that she was gonna allow me to share with like siblings besides my father, where she said she apologized because she technically did out me to my father, but she was like, I was doing it more for like, if he was gonna say something, I wanted to be the first one to say like, my son, you get out.
But also, you're not the oldest in your family, though.
No.
You're probably the youngest, right?
I am. Well, from my mother, biologically, I'm the youngest, but my mother also was raising, and if I go back to like Puerto Rico, like my aunt or her sister had substance abuse issues. Yeah. So she took care of like 3 or 4 of her kids.
Yeah. Okay. And that's very common.
Yes. So we had a very different, I want to say different. It's just like Puerto Rican dynamic type of family. Yeah. Like to this day, they're my siblings because as long as I can hold memory, they've been in the house. So I'm like,
oh yeah.
She was already taking care of her her sister's kids. Here I am, me and my brother, in the picture. So it's just like the fact that she was like, and I say, like, my father was the provider, so she was taking a risk by telling him get out. It was just like, so she told him get out. He was like goodbye. Like,
yeah.
Our meals probably won't be at the table the next day. So like, yeah, the courage that woman took to say like, I want to protect my son, and I don't care if I have to like sacrifice or I have to go find a job or I have to go figure it out. I was just like, there's a level of
that is so admirable.
Bravery that comes, with that. And I'm like, to this day, I'm thankful for just that because I feel like folks don't even get that.
That's so amazing. I'm so happy that for all the stress that you had to undergo during that week period, that 6-7 day period,
which seemed like a year.
It seemed like forever, right? Yes. Especially at that age, right?
Yes.
You came out with just like a stronger relationship because of that, right?
Yeah.
And you basically covered all the questions that I wanted to ask, but the last one that's on my list is like, did you have any mentors or teachers that talked with you about culture or your queerness?
Not culture, and I will say that anytime my Latino or the identity of being Latino came about or even was talked about, it was just like stay away from that because that's not what's gonna pay the bills, and that's not the popular thing. And like learn English, perfect it. We don't want your accent. So anytime I was getting any coaching, or it wasn't even coaching, feedback, if you may even call it that, was very much like drop it, drop that, drop the accent, assimilate, reinvent yourself from early. And I mean like, and I felt like even my mother, still love you, was also pushing that way because she was just like, she wanted her baby boy to just thrive. And the way that she wanted to thrive, she was like, you need to be educated, your English needs to be perfect, like you need to be able to compete with these gringos out here. So like all of that was like my mom saying like, you need to like embrace this American culture, and like I need you to like go hard. So I'm like, anything that came from in terms of like culture was very much like exit plan. So I'm like, as an adult, and I feel like after like high school, then I started to embrace it, and I really started to like tap into, I would say towards the end of high school as well, because I took 4 years of Spanish.
Okay.
Because my speaking was very great, but my writing was horrible. Okay. And grammar is still not my friend. We try it.
I think you write pretty well.
In Spanish, I'm saying.
Okay.
It was not very great. So she did push me to take Spanish classes. And thank God, because I don't think I would. Every time I hear anyone who took anything other than like a simple language like French or anything, like they know a couple of words, but I'm just like, I actually use it, and I'm like, I can write really good Spanish, and I can speak it, and I'm like,
your blood.
Exactly. So I'm like, so I guess I'll take my comment back and say like my mother did push me, and in the home at least kept talking to me in Spanish.
Yeah.
In the home we all spoke Spanish. Outside of the home, English being pushed, embrace the American culture, and she saw the opportunity. She saw Spanish on like the list of like programs, so she was like, I need you to like.
Did she learn about Inglés sin barreras?
We saw the commercials. We still joke about it to this day. Like anytime, my mother cannot say refrigerator to this day, so I will forever joke with her about sin barrera, and I've been in those commercials till like, I love those till I die. But so yeah, and in terms of queer, like no, as growing up, like I did not get a lot of education. Or even understanding myself when there was not resources as much as there are today, or like affinity groups or any like safe spaces that I could have go visited and essentially have conversations with people so that I can figure out my identity. So I did a lot of my figuring out my identity older in life. Like it wasn't
like through self-discovery and
of
just
course
like
self-discovery,
osmosis, like through
experiences. We'll talk about
well,
that
life
in
is
another
the ultimate teacher.
correct because whatever mommy wasn't teaching you, la vida was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, so I did not have a lot of like mentors, but we'll talk about in a different podcast, like the adulthood side of the house and like how that was transformative.
So I mean, I
growing
think
up.
this is a really good foray into like the show because like I've known JP for how many years now? Since 2018, 2019,
something like that.
So going on
Yeah.
10 years, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know half of this. And I thought I knew you pretty well. So I mean, you can ask me the questions. You do what you need to do.
I think I just want to kick it off about your identity. Like if someone was truly asking you like an all-encompassing of just like, tell me who Anthony Rodriguez is or Ant.
I used to have like an elevator pitch, and now that the more that I've gotten older, I feel like it shifts all the time. In a way that excites me, but also like I also don't care anymore. Like growing up, I was Puerto Rican. There's a lot of discourse on the internet right now what a true Puerto Rican is. And we'll get to that in another day. But like, so for context, I was raised by my grandmother, who was born in 1943. So that's important, right? Because it's a completely different generation than even someone like your mom was probably born in the 50s or 60s.
Correct.
My dad was born in 58. He was a gang leader in Hartford. And my mom was born in 63. Now, my dad was married to another woman. Don't know the full story there. But what I understand is they didn't work out, but there were still some ties there. And he was with my mom, who we also loved. And
I like Chija.
There's a lot going on there. But he had 2 kids, my oldest sister and then my oldest brother. And then with my dad and my mom, there's 3 of us. My older sister, Monica, myself in the middle, and then my youngest brother, Benny. But my father passed away in 84. He's actually killed. On Father's Day of 84, he was shot in the head by someone in the gang, or there's like articles on the internet.
There's mixed stories, I'm sure.
There's just so much, right? Yep. But of course, it happened 40 some odd years ago, so it's all watered down at this point. Point is, he led a very interesting life because he was a gang leader who actively worked in the public school system of Hartford, trying to get kids not to join a gang. One of his friends was the former mayor of Hartford, who was also in the gang with him, and he apparently tried to get him out of it. And there's a whole legacy there. So I grew up with my grandmother because my mom was a drug addict, and so she did her best to raise the kids. And by the way, even after she gave birth to my youngest brother, Benny, who was born 6 months after my father passed away, she then had twins about a year and a half later with another guy who she also had dealings with, who's I considered my stepfather, but he has since then passed away as well. So my mom has lived a very difficult life, and a lot of it has been, I have to imagine that the chemistry of her brain has changed because of drugs, and she was also diagnosed bipolar as well. So there's a lot of mental health issues that have gone untreated for so long. And of course you have drugs into that, and that's going to fuck you up beyond recognition. So she did what I believe to be the honorable thing, which is give up custody of me and the 2 others to my grandmother. Now, mind you, my grandmother's 40 years older than me. Sheesh. My mother's 20 years older than me. So we're literally 43, 63, and I was born in 83.
That is it.
So I am 43 years old as of today.
You gotta play that number.
You know, right? Ending with 3s. But my grandmother was one of those ladies that was like, listen, I'm so used to being the caretaker and the giver that I'm going to devote my life to doing this. Whether or not she had dreams of her own, I don't even know to this day because we don't really have those deep conversations. She's not really, I wouldn't say that she's really open, but if you ask her questions, she'll try to divulge a little bit about her life, but I don't really know too much. What I do know is that she was born in Orocovis in Puerto Rico, and her mother had a couple of kids with her father before her, and then she got married to another guy and moved to the States, and then had a ton of other kids. So my grandmother raised her siblings, her kids, her kids, and then her kids.
So 3 generations, essentially.
So like the oldest one in that generation is my niece, who just got engaged last weekend. So shout out to you, Nala. Very proud of you. But my grandmother raised her as the last of that generation. Now it's 26. So I grew up, I would say, kind of sheltered in a way because, like, I didn't know about the gang stuff. I didn't know anything like that until I got older. But if you look at me and you look at pictures of my dad, we look very similar.
So I remember pictures. You showed me pictures earlier. You guys do.
I grew up in Hartford, Connecticut, and this was this is a ritual thing for me to just be walking around town and people being like, Benny, Benny. I'm like, who the fuck is this old man? And why is he calling me Benny? My name is Anthony.
Correct.
And it turns out,
don't shoot me,
look like
please.
him, right? Like, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Correct.
These people are sketchy. Like, I don't know.
Of course.
So I grew up relatively sheltered, but like you, I was in ESL. My grandmother spoke Spanish, so I knew Spanish. But my mother didn't really speak that much. I mean, she spoke it with my grandmother, but like when I was around my mom and she was with her friends or with other people, English is what we spoke. So I grew up speaking both, predominantly Spanish was the language.
At home.
And then you go to school, you're in ESL classes. I too was bullied, not necessarily because of an accent, but more so because of the whole gay thing, which was a perception that other people picked up on that I didn't even pick up on because I didn't know what it was. I just knew I felt different. Like, I wouldn't say I had an attraction to boys.
Yeah.
But like, I was more effeminate. I liked music. I liked dancing. I liked doing things that traditionally boys wouldn't do. And if given the opportunity, I would be with my female cousins versus my brothers who wanted to wrestle. So I think that was first indication.
Yep.
And like, even one of my uncles, who I'm not going to name, we don't really have a close relationship. I don't think we even have a relationship. He lives in Florida.
Yep.
He would say vile and nasty things to me in front of the other adults, and they would yell at him.
You?
Yeah, but he would say, to me as a kid. And I'd be like, so he would call me mantequilla because I would cry. And I was like, why am I being called butter?
Right.
I don't know what that means, but I knew that me being sensitive was
not the norm.
Not even just the norm, but was on par with being soft. And being soft was not a masculine quality. And so I apparently was a colicky kid. I cried all the fucking time. And so for me, it was like, I knew that being different and being myself was not considered good. And then at school, people picked up on that. I was in the choir. I had the best voice in the choir. I had all the solo. Like, people loved me in school. All the teachers loved my voice, and I would get compliments. But when it came to my peers, it'd be being shoved into the wall, being punched in the face. It'd be being called a faggot or called a pato. And I'm like, I don't understand why I'm being celebrated in one hand for the very same thing I'm being abused for. I don't get it. But what I understood at a very early age was that being myself was not good. So like you, I kept it to myself. But there's only so much that you can do to keep it to yourself. People are going to know. That's why I do think that female intuition is like a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, we never had conversations about being gay, but what I did know was that anytime a gay person on TV was shown on TV, rather, there would be like almost an air of disgust in the room. Look at that pato. Or he wants to be a woman. Or it was always done like you would see like male actors dressing up as women to poke fun at something.
Yeah.
And it was never done in a serious way. So like, the very first time I saw a gay person on TV was when I was 10 years old. This is in 1993. And this was Pedro Zamora.
She's 21 years old.
Oh my God. Lord Jesus. It was Pedro Zamora in the real world in, I want to say, San Francisco. And Pedro was, I want to say, Cuban, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me in the comments if I'm not correct. But Pedro was diagnosed with AIDS and unfortunately died on the show. Now, I don't know how much you know, but this is way before your time because you weren't born in the 80s. But in the 80s, there was a lot of unrest because of the AIDS crisis and all that, and how the government didn't really care, and a lot of people died. In fact, for those who don't know, the reason it's LGBTQ instead of GLBT is because lesbians really led the fight in that arena, but also took care of sick gay men while they all died.
Shout out to the lesbians.
Yeah, honestly. Shout out to the lesbians. Not all of you. I don't like all of you, but shout out to most of you.
Most of them are good.
That being said, and more importantly understood, yeah, my childhood, I would say, was fine. But then, you know, when you unpeel the layers, you're like, actually, this is not fine. This is not normal. Yeah. Right? Like, growing up with your grandmother, yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
And to your point earlier, we're a very matriarchal society.
Mm-hmm.
The women really do rule the roost, but I had no male representation in my life besides my uncle David, who
was
the youngest.
Okay.
And we shared a bedroom until he moved out, and we're only 15 years apart.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
So when he left, it was like, okay, me and my younger brother, and then my sister, and my grandmother, and then my mom or my aunt and her 2 kids, who are my closest friends.
So people were coming in and out of the home.
Yeah. So they we all like grew up together, but
Yeah.
I didn't have like
Yeah.
male present figures.
Yeah.
And when I say that to people, it almost like justifies why I'm gay. And I'm like, I know plenty of people that come with a mother and father and are gay. That has nothing to do with it. But
with both.
I never had conversations about what it's like to be a man.
Yeah. I heard 2 things as you were telling your story. I heard 2 relationships that I want to make sure we don't glance over. Your mother and substance abuse. And I want you to elaborate of like your experiences with that. And I also want you to talk about your relationship with your grandmother. And you hinted at like we weren't lovey-touchy. So like I want you to like to follow up on those.
So 2 things. I do feel like we need a mommy issues episode because we can go on forever about this. But when it comes to my mom in particular, like I don't consider myself this now because we unfortunately don't have a relationship anymore.
Yeah.
But I was a mama's boy. I lived for her. Whatever I did, whether it be getting good grades in school, joining the choir, being really good at whatever, I did to impress her.
Because she's mommy at the end of the day. Right. She's mom.
She gave birth to me.
Correct. And there's a level of like respect that comes with it.
Correct.
No matter what. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Yeah.
But she didn't care. She literally didn't care. I remember one day we were walking while my grandmother had custody. I still lived with my mom. I would go with her every night and the twins, and we would go home. I remember talking to her about something happening in school.
So you were staying still with her? I
was still staying with my mom.
Your grandmother know that she was still doing substance 100%. In between?
She had to have known. She's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can go. I will spill the cafecito there where you're going to be like, I can't fucking believe you made it out of there alive.
Sheesh.
But I remember one particular day, it must have been like maybe 10, 11, 12 maybe, being excited about something that happened at school that was good for me and telling her, and her just telling me to shut up. And I was like instantly deflated in a way that made me never want to talk about anything good ever again. And to me, as an adult now, I can understand more of where she was going through, because one thing that we will talk about is that, and I don't know how much older your mom is from you, but again, my mom was 19 years older than me, almost 20. It had been 20 years in like months. But when you're that young and you're having babies, you fail to realize, at least as an adult now, I fail to realize that I'm watching my mom grow up at the same time. These are literal kids having kids. Yeah. So there's a level of grace that I give now, but at the end of the day, like, we'll get into this, there's so much there. So I had a very close relationship with my mom, but naturally deteriorated over time.
Is it due to the substance abuse, or is it even beyond
that? That's part of it, but it's beyond that. It's physical abuse, it's emotional abuse, it's mental abuse. It's just, you know, the saying, you become your parents the older you get. Mm-hmm. I feel like in many respects I became the parent, and I didn't want to become the parent to my own mom. No. There were times where I needed my mom where she just wasn't there. And I told myself, well, if I can't rely on my mom, I have to rely on myself. And then when it comes to my grandmother, what was the other question? It was
like, you said you weren't lovey-touchy.
No, family. We didn't grow up in a.
So there wasn't the bendición and the hugs and the.
Like, the first time I heard a bendición that I remember was when my like second cousins would come over. So my grandmother's sister and that side of the family would come over, bendición, tía, titi. And I was like, what does that even mean? Correct. And then I hear my grandmother would reply and be like, que Dios te bendiga. Yeah. And I was like, why are they asking you for a blessing? Yeah. What is the point of that? But then I learned over time, like in Spanish culture, when you were entering someone's home, and more times than not, when you're leaving, you ask for a blessing from the elders. It's their way of like showing their appreciation and love for you. 100%. And I never grew up.
And it's also a form of respect. Because I know, like, my grandmother, if I did not say coming in,
they would be pissed.
Absolutely.
Beside themselves.
Yeah.
Correct. JP, I would tell you that. Like, we never had that growing up. Like, I remember growing up with my grandmother, and like I'll be watching TV with her. Every once in a while we'll have a cafecito, but we were never encouraged to drink coffee because it would stunt your growth. So grandma would have a cafecito every morning, and I'd be looking at it like, damn, I want that, but I can't have it. I didn't really have coffee until I was probably in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
She wouldn't make like hot chocolate because I know like my
No.
grandmother was
No,
big
no,
at
no.
night making the chocolate and putting the cheese, el queso
Nope.
de bola in it.
The
Oh my
queso
god.
de bola, we'd put it in the cafecito,
Yeah.
right? But only for her. I remember one time I had it and I was like, actually, I kind of like this. But then it was like, I want this again. Nope, you can't have it. Because cafe is for adults and that's it.
Really? I
Mhm.
feel it was like infused on like everything with like,
No.
oh my god.
And now, mind you, this is growing up in the 80s and early 90s, right? So we, like, my grandmother didn't go to school because, again, she was raising her siblings, her kids, and her kids. So she
Yeah.
never actually went to school beyond kindergarten. So she knows how to write her name and some basic math, but that's where the line ends.
How about her English? Is she fluent in English?
She's not fluent in English, but oddly enough, her mother was. I don't.
And we never asked for it.
Don't. So like I remember having a conversation with my great grandmother, and she's talking to me in English. I'm like, pero ¿por qué tú no hablas inglés?
Exactamente.
And it was, well, we never talked in English. I always talked in Spanish.
That's interesting. That like I would think your grandmother before your great grandmother would absolutely.
No. And my grandmother's younger siblings all speak fluent English.
Is it the schooling in Puerto Rico? Because they do English classes in Puerto Rico.
So my grandmother came to the States when she was probably...
Your great grandmother, you mean?
Yeah, my great grandmother was my grandmother. They came together.
Yes.
I want to say in the late 50s, probably. Yeah, probably in the late 50s. My grandmother was working in tobacco farms in Enfield and shit like that. That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not. And then my grandmother started having her own kids. So my great grandmother's youngest and my grandmother's oldest are the same age.
That's wild, but also not crazy.
And it's not shocking
because it's common. It's very common. 100%. It's very common. 100%.
So that's just kind of what you did. You were born to like raise kids, and you were the cook, you were the cleaner, you were the this and that. And my grandmother has gone through hell and back. I hear stories of even to this day where I'm like, that's unbelievable. I can't believe that that's a real thing. When her brother passed away, I want to say like maybe a year ago or so, she was like really down in the dumps. And I think a lot of it is you're coming to terms with your own mortality, but also she kept being like, and I think his name was Raul. He was the only one that really looked out for me. When we were sleeping on dirt floors, he was the one that made sure I had a blanket. He was the one that would walk me to school, and then when I came to the States, he stayed in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Things like that. So
was that built in?
I have a really close relationship with my well, I shouldn't say that. It's not a lie to say I'm close with her. I live in a different state, but I'm not so far away from her. The problem now becomes assimilation. While we never had a conversation about making sure you assimilate, it's you're in school, your job is to graduate. We don't care how you do it. And for me, I was in ESL until I was in 5th or 6th grade. And then I became a mainstream student because my English was good enough to pass. And then if you don't use a skill, you lose it. So like we can have a conversation. You guys have heard me speaking in Spanish, but it's phrasing here and there. If we started having a full-on conversation, I would have to stop and transition to English because I could not come up with the words.
And we do speak very fast.
And we speak very fast.
Very fast.
In fact, this whole podcast is an exercise in me slowing the fuck down and making sure that you guys can hear me.
Correct. As I would try it as well, because I can spit it.
It's hard to keep that, to keep it in check. But I, because of my situation with my mother and understanding that her drug use was going to affect my life in the way it did, and seeing how it affected everyone else around them, but also seeing how they navigated life, I knew that the only way out was to double down on my education, was to focus on something that would provide me the opportunity to escape the hood. And we grew up in
not the hood.
Well, I grew up in the hood. It's predominantly black and brown, right?
Shout out to Hartford.
So Hartford was maybe still is, I don't know, the number one crime capital in the U.S. And I grew up in the North End, in the poorest zip code in the richest state in the Union. We were on welfare. Like we would get the food stamps. I remember there used to be a booklet that
the vouchers, that was before
before the cards, right? So like we would go down to the store and it would be like money.
Shout out to the EBT cards. I just want to say I love them. I got a lot of candy out of it.
That's hilarious. Not candy, but to me that was so normal.
Yeah,
it was nothing. It meant nothing and it didn't mean anything until I realized that everyone around me was in the same boat.
Yeah.
But it's not the lifestyle that I wanted to live.
Right.
But I didn't have any really great examples other than my uncle who works for a news station in Connecticut and my aunt who's worked for the IRS and for an elevator company. And so those were the only examples of like working people
Yeah.
that seemed and looked successful, but by no means were they like property owners and did they have their shit together. My aunt's only 21, 22 years older than me. My uncle's 15 years older than me. So again, these are people that are still growing up.
So let me ask you this, because I've heard you say like few folks said they were working at the time.
Yeah.
How was food being provided on the table? Like
So-
who was working? Who was like?
There
how
was no
like-
one working. So you had your food stamps, but also because my dad passed away when I was a baby, I was literally a year old.
Yeah.
For me, my sister, and my brother, we had Social Security benefits, like death benefits. And so the Social Security office would give my grandmother money because she had sole custody of us three. So that's how we ate.
Got it.
That's what paid the bills,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I would say that my
I
grandmother.
mean, your grandmother was hands full with like
100%.
3 generations of kids. So
Yeah.
I think she had a job.
No, she 100%
100%.
looked out in a way that she never needed to, right? Like
Yeah.
no one ever forced her to do this.
Yeah.
But am I grateful for it? Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot about survival through that lens because that's her entire life.
And we'll talk about survival in a whole episode because I feel like we both have.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I come out of the other side of that, but we'll deep dive into that.
I mean, in some ways, I still feel like I am trying to survive. But like then we transitioned into like coming out. So
yeah,
I was in high school from 97 to 2001. And by the time 1997 rolled around, I knew more of my sexuality. I knew that I liked boys, but there was no boy that I had like a crush on. I just knew that I see somebody on TV that looked nice and I had an attraction to that.
Okay.
The only representation of a gay guy in high school was the flamboyant guy who would wear skirts, a black gay guy who had the lisp and who was like traumatized by everyone around him, but his survival was just being funny. Comedy. And I didn't want to be that.
Comedy. Yeah.
And so I more or less stayed into the closet, but I started coming out. I literally came out on coming out day, October 11th of 97 to, I would say 2 people. And it's the age old, you come out as bisexual before you come out as gay because you're at least testing the waters.
Correct.
So I remember coming out to my friend Taryn and my friend Melissa. Shout out to you both. If you're listening, which you're probably not. And
they will.
They were literally like, we love you. We've known you since you were 12. We love you. And I was like, okay, that was easy.
Correct.
So tested the waters there and then came out to more people. But I never came out to family. To this day, I've not come out to a single person in my family.
And you guys don't talk about it to this day?
No, we talk. Well, we don't have conversations about being gay. But the way it happened was, that's a lie. Let me retract my statement. I came out to my mother. But to anyone else in the family, no. Oof. And here's how that happens, right? So you're maturing. You're going through high school. My friends know that I'm gay because at that point I transitioned from bi to gay.
Yep.
But I'm not dating anyone. I don't know anyone. I'm going to college.
So there was no relationship.
There was never any relationship. Okay. In fact, in 7th and 8th grade, I had a relationship with a girl who I'm still friends with today. There was one relationship. There was one relationship because I went to a performing arts high school my senior year. Shout out to D, who is now a trans woman. So I had one relationship and it was very short lived, but it was like my first time ever doing anything like that. So I was like so green. But so coming out was friends, and then senior year is when I went to that school, and that was the first time I saw gay people. Period. Some of those people are still my friends today. We don't really see each other, but we're connected on social media. Correct. So that was my first time really like understanding sexuality different than just like what you see on TV.
Yeah.
But also,
how about going back to your mom? That conversation with your mom.
Well, that happened afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm jumping the gun.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm at the edge of my seat. I'm like, mommy, coming out to mommy is the hardest.
This all goes back to like how I came out to people. Oh, I'm just hitting the mic now. I'm trying to get my leg comfortable. Exposing myself to the world. But so I came out to those people in high school, and I thought to myself, well, I'm going to college now, so what's the risk in telling my mom? I'm already out of the house. You can't kick me out, right? It's not like I lived with her anyway. I was with my grandmother. I was staying with my mom, but at that point, again, we'll talk about mommy because there's so much more to the story. At this point, she was here, there, and everywhere. I actually had no idea where she lived, but I had her phone number, and I had my first Sprint cell phone. So fast
Shout out to
forward,
Sprint, now
right,
T-Mobile.
to 2000. T-Mobile came afterwards. Shout out to 2001 when the world changed, right? 9/11 happened. Aaliyah had passed
Such a
away.
year. Such a year.
I was kind of going through it mentally, and I wasn't doing well in school, and I did really well in high school. Um, Shout out to Hartford High. But I went to UConn my freshman year, and it was the first time that I experienced culture shock because I would consider myself a big fish in a small pond in Hartford, or at least with the school kids that I went to. And now I'm in a university with no one that I know, exploring who I am with no one to talk to. And so I worked up enough courage to call my mom. I remember walking out of my dorm because I lived in a 4-guy dorm and I didn't want any of my roommates to hear, even though they did. We'll get to that also because they also honored me.
Oh, gee.
And then I went to like the common area where the microwaves were, and I called my mom, and she was like, "Hey, Aunt Man," because she calls me Aunt Man, and she was like, just wondering how I was doing, and I was telling her that I'm doing well, but that I'm in school, and I had to talk to her about something, and she was like, "Well, what's up?" And so I basically was like, "Hey, listen, here's the deal. Coming out, I'm gay." Didn't ask her what she felt. It wasn't anything about like, because I don't really give a fuck about what people think of me. I think that's pretty obvious, even though there's
and at that
always
time
an
you were
element.
feeling that way. You were just like, I'm gonna get it out.
I'm
all
just
of
gonna
that.
get it out.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Mom, I'm gay. Here it is." And she was like, I remember the first thing, she like paused for a second, and she said 2 things that will stick with me forever. Because to this day, I'm like, why did you say that? The first one was, well, if your dad were alive, he would not have approved.
She brought up your dad.
Mm-hmm. She brought up my dad. And I was like, and my direct response was, well, I'm glad he's not alive then.
Stop it.
Yeah.
No.
You think I don't give a fuck? Like 18-year-old Aunt was reckless.
Oh, gee.
Because like,
you
couple this mouth
her,
with
you must have like blown her mind.
You couple my mouth now with like immaturity.
Yeah.
Then
the pettiness was real. Anthony was
so, but
petty.
also I was like not who I am now. Like who I am now was not who I was like 20.
It's been evolutions,
6 years ago,
iterations of ourselves.
So she was like, "Your dad wouldn't have approved," and I'm like, "Well, I'm glad he's not alive then." And then she was like, "But to be honest, like I knew." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, man, when you were a baby, you would throw on your tia's tacos and you would put on her boas and walk around the apartment. Like you would put on her high-heeled shoes and walk."
Oh, you were like stereotypical doing
apparently. Did I know this? Fuck no. But apparently
Antonia was at her full glam at 3 years old.
She was on and popping.
she was
out
given.
for the world to see.
She was given.
I never always given, but I didn't know that.
I played with Barbies with my friends. But that's
you guys were rich because you guys had Barbies.
Well, they weren't exactly Barbie. There was like Family Dollar Barbie. Let's be honest. They were like, shout out to Family Dollar.
Oh my god. So yeah, it was giving, like I already knew.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking, so like, what am I coming out for? Like, that's when I realized like, this is more about me than it is about them. I'm no longer going to come out for anyone's approval. Because even though I don't give a fuck, of course you want the support from your family members. You're doing it because you don't want any love lost.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't think she cares. Because if she cared and she'd do forever, she would have made it an issue. She's not once. Well, there was one time she made it an issue. I was like 6 years old and I called the little Indian boy cute on TV. And she was like, "You don't say that." And I was like, calm down. But
calm down, mommy.
It's not that deep. It's a fucking movie.
Correct.
But like, she never once was like the type of person that would talk shit about gay people. But again,
so she wouldn't use any of the slurs you weren't hearing. Pato, you weren't hearing any of that stuff from her?
I might have heard faggot once or twice, but if it was like in the heat of the moment, if she was pissed at someone, it wasn't because she was calling a gay person that. You know what I mean? It was always an insult hurled at someone if you wanted to demean them. But I mean, if they were really gay, I wouldn't have known.
Correct.
And so I never, even from my aunt and uncles or whatever, they were so young that I feel like they were children of the 60s and 70s. That's the Love and Peace era. Like they're not.
Yeah.
They could be homophobes and I just don't know.
But
they
was
weren't
Love
really
and Peace. But if you were gay, it's different.
Yeah, but I'm sure in the 70s and growing up in Hartford, you knew some gay people. And in the disco era, like it was a little. I have to imagine. I don't know because I wasn't there. It may be a little more socially acceptable amongst the younger friend groups, right? But as long as you kept it there.
Correct.
Right? You can
Correct.
be feeling blue, you can be out, you can be whatever.
And he was your friend. Otherwise, if you were like dating someone, they were your friends.
Yeah. So I never came out to my grandmother. I never came out to my aunt. I did come out to my cousin, but the way I did it was different, right? At that point, I was a sophomore in college and I was dating my second boyfriend ever, who I'm still friends with now. And he's actually dating a guy that I say dating, he's married to a guy that I went to the performing arts high school with. And so I went to like IHOP with my cousin Vanessa. I was like, I want to introduce you to my boyfriend.
IHOP is good food. I just want to point that out. They're pancakes.
Live.
Not grain.
I will. Do you want to go after this? Is there still even one?
Is there?
I love diner food.
Have
period.
They closed them down?
I don't know that the one in Springfield, because you know where Aldi is on like Boston Road. Is there even an Aldi on Boston Road anymore?
Yes.
It's right next to me used to to be.
I think they closed that one down
because you can tell by the building. It's like the.
I love a good IHOP and people knock it. And people knock it.
Give me an IHOP. Give me a Denny's.
Same. I am not like.
I'm not above any of that.
Same, 100%. 100%.
Oh my God, I love that.
100%. Give me a bimbo with some juice, some amalta, and I'm good.
Ooh, you're saying all the right things.
I'm just getting hungry now.
Exactly. I'm losing my train of thought because now I'm hungry. But the reality is like I didn't hear negative things from my family, but we didn't really have conversations. We weren't really the touchy-feely type. It wasn't the, hey, how was school today, honey? Sit down and talk about what happened. It was, viniste de la escuela. All right, have some food.
Yeah.
And then when you're done, make sure you do your asignación.
Did they make you eat all your food? Because
there were times where
my mother and my grandmother were like, I cooked it.
We got really creative with how to hide it or throw it out. We had to. Because there were some times, like I don't eat corn to this day because I'm traumatized.
Why? What's wrong with corn?
I was force-fed corn by my grandmother.
I love corn.
And to this day, there's a psychological response. If there's corn anywhere near me, unless it's popcorn, candy corn.
What do you mean?
But if it's
corn.
Kernel corns, no ma'am.
What?
No.
I love corn. Arroz con...
Nope.
Con maíz? No?
Mm-hmm. Nope.
It's so good.
Absolutely not. You can't pay me enough.
What do you eat with your mashed potatoes? I'm confused.
Good gravy? Do you put some cheese on it?
White man. Gravy. Who the hell are you?
Sorry.
Gravy.
See, but this is how we're different,
Anyways,
right? Like my grandmother, I wouldn't consider her a cook, but she made food. It would be arroz con habichuela, arroz con gandule, a pernil, a pollo, or arroz con salchicha, or white rice with like an egg on it for Lent.
Did they teach you how to cook?
No. I was not taught. I was, in fact, encouraged not to be in the kitchen because women were the ones that did that, right? So my grandmother made all the food. Mm-hmm. My mom was definitely not a cook. I take after her 100%. The most she would make is like a box mac and cheese with like a chicken wing. That's fried.
What?
That was fine dining for us. A Sunday night after church?
What?
Bitch, work.
Church, you mentioned something.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys going to church?
No, but I was. And I'll transition to that in a second. But what I want to say about
your cousin, IHOP.
Yeah, so I came out
bring you back.
to my cousin Vanessa at IHOP.
Yes.
And that was the only other time that I came out. But like growing up and getting into my adulthood, I started to date at a very young age. I was 20, 21 years old, or even before that, 19, 20 years old. And I brought my first husband, because I've been married twice now. I brought my first husband around.
I was shouting out to them.
Maybe you can. Shout out to Rich. No love lost. Like, it is what it is. He's a fantastic individual and he's remarried and I like his husband, taking care of the dogs and whatnot. Like, I don't have any ill feelings, right?
Yeah. Different
time, but I brought him over to my family's and it was like, here's who he is. This is who I'm with.
You're brave.
I guess if that's the coming out,
you're
that's
brave.
Coming out.
I mean, yeah.
Because at that point, JP, I'm already on my own. You can't tell me shit. What are you going to tell me not to come around?
Yeah, but it's still a level of bravery there to be able to show up with your significant other and say,
don't get me wrong.
Here's my life and here's who I am. Because you're not saying it by you giving, you're leaving no doubt by bringing in your husband.
It would be, well, he wasn't my husband then. It was just someone I was dating.
Okay.
We didn't get married until way later.
Okay.
But it was one of those things where I'm not interested in just putting a veil over things for other people's comfort. This is who I am. So
you've always been Aunt, is what you're saying.
This is literally who I am. I'm not trying to hide anything. This is, if my mom already knew, chances are my grandmother already knew. Chances are my aunt already knew. And while we never talked about it, there was no news
will go around.
Oh, of course. We all do that.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, like, I go back to, I'm living my life the way that I'm going to do it. And if you don't want me in your space, that's just making my day a whole lot easier. So I will stick to my life over here. But thankfully, they didn't do that. They never made comments. And I'm sure if they talk without me knowing, and that's fine. Yeah. No one's ever talked shit to my knowledge. And if you do talk shit about me behind my back, you're in the perfect position to kiss my ass.
Your mother. That's where I got to that.
So I will say this, like, I had a decent upbringing, although not a good upbringing, right? We were on welfare. You know, there was a lot of physical abuse, a lot of mental
substance abuse,
right?
sounds
substance
like.
abuse.
Correct.
And for me, even though I don't have a good relationship with my mom, if I give her credit for anything, is being such a bad mom that it taught me what not to be. And
so she was setting a different example.
She's setting a different example of what not to do.
Yeah.
So I made it my mission to assimilate and be as good as I can with English as my first language, so that I can get an education, so that I can get a job, so that I can afford this place that I'm in, so that I can, make the mistakes that I made and be a better person because of them. So it's been a journey. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. And there's still much more to the story, obviously, that we can't cover. I don't even know how long we've been doing this, to be fair.
Correct. Well, I want you to put a button in terms of like this whole conversation. And I want you to tell me if you had any coaches or any mentors.
Girl,
in terms of like, even in the queer space?
No. Anything that I learned about being gay or queer, and we haven't even talked about gender identity, so that's another topic for another day.
Correct.
It's things that I've learned on TV. Yep. Watching Jerry Springer, watching the talk show circuit, and it was always bad shit. Or when I got to college and I started meeting people and I was like, oh, you have an interest in me? Let's explore that. I don't know what it means to be in a gay relationship. I think the first time I kissed a guy I was 17 years old.
That was a wild experience. And you waited. I feel like I've definitely kissed before.
Yeah, no, I was 17 years old.
Yes.
And so,
like, and other things were happening, which I won't go into. Maybe to a different episode.
Because that's actually
because that's how I explore, and that's how I understood my sexuality as it is today. Yeah. Like there was a lot of exploration and
of course. And
because
again,
the spectrum of men.
To your question, we're not taught these things. Not that many straight people are taught these things, but you have so many more examples of this on TV.
Correct.
I mean, growing up, you watch a Disney cartoon, you're watching Aladdin and Jasmine, kiss or on their magic fucking carpet ride.
Correct.
Like, you didn't see two guys doing that.
And you can't have a conversation with mommy or papi or anyone to talk about these relationships because you hear other. I want to use the word normal, but it's not normal. But like, I guess like straight individuals. So like go to the moms and be like, oh, I'm having difficulty dating, or I'm having like, and they're being able to have that conversation. Like you can have that conversation with mommy. I don't think she wanted to have that conversation. Sorry, mommy, if you did want to have that conversation.
But I'm sure it's got to be awkward for them too.
Of course. So she was still. I mean, like she accepted me, but she was still, I'm sure, processing, and she's still figuring out.
Yeah, but to be fair, also JP, like, how could they have that conversation? This is not a frame of reference they know anything about. And so, like in retrospect now, even if they try to have the conversations, I fear it would have resulted in like confusion or just like bad information, because what do they know about like contraceptives? They're having all these kids.
Correct.
Right. And not only that, but like anal sex, like they just,
I wasn't having that conversation with mommy. I was
100%. Whereas you normally at like 13, 14, like you would have the birds and the bees conversation.
Correct.
I don't have that benefit. So I learned through trial and error, through having conversations with people that I felt trusted with, but by no means did we ever have these conversations growing up.
Yeah.
Right. So like our upbringings are like culturally similar in some ways, and in many ways so vastly different from one another that I'm like, I get why I am who I am today. And I don't hate it. But there's a part of me that's like I remember going to your birthday party, your graduation party, but even that when you moved into your house, beautiful home, by the way, your family was there. And we had a very spirited conversation of, what do you call it? An empanada? An empanadilla?
Empanadilla. It's a Mexican term.
Or pastelillo. And I was like,
oh no. Pastelillos are the things with guava. They're not.
You called me over. See, you and I had a difference. But your family and I were like,
you're going to make me mad. We're about to like end this podcast.
We were like, nope. Mi abuela, everyone in my family calls it la pastelillo.
I still don't know them.
De queso.
I haven't met them. I still don't know them.
But even within our culture, there's so many different ways that we can say things, and there's a lot of spirited conversation. So that's kind of why.
And we're inclusive, although I don't like the
But that's
variation of
another
words.
conversation for another day. But like, I mean, to be honest, like, I think this is why it's important to have this forum for us to kind of speak, because we see each other at work maybe for an hour a week. I'm being conservative, right?
Correct. And we talk the entire time.
And we talk the entire
Every
time.
second
It goes
counts.
like this. And you'll see when we hit stop on this, it'll be like an hour and a half without even knowing.
Correct.
But it's important for us to share these experiences with one another, and hope that we can learn from each other. But also, I want to connect more to being Puerto Rican. And I feel like I'm losing a lot of that as I'm getting older. That's why, like, I'm sort of intentional as I decorate this place to make sure there's elements of
your identity,
my identity around. Like, if you look at that wall over there, you can see that I love to travel. You can see there's one of me in Puerto Rico. Yep. I'm not vain. While my Instagram might tell a different story. But
Shout
I
out
need to
to
make
his
sure
Instagram.
that when I wake up and I look at the fruits of my labor, that I see my bloodline, that I see my heritage, that I see things that I love and that fuel my passion. And that's what this podcast is. By the way, this is not my first podcast. This is my third, right? I've been doing this for 20 years on and off.
Look at you
before anyone
at your camera.
Before anyone even dares to fix their fucking lips to tell me, oh, you're doing this because you want to be that or blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't give a fuck about being like anyone else but me.
100%.
And if you know me, you know I truly don't care about that. But if you have any feedback from me and you want to have a conversation with me, you should be coming to me and me.
Llámame.
I'm not that hard to find.
And I will say this. I also want the conversation that we have here to spark conversation.
Yeah.
I want folks to be able to feel free to reach out to me. Not all the time, because I'm not that available to people. But,
dying.
But just like open up conversations and like let's relate if there's like topics where we intersect, and let's talk about the differences, and let's just talk about these things that normally, like, we know each other for what, 10 years now, and we haven't even
almost
truly talked about the common stories or like experiences. Like,
no,
it's crazy. So I'm like, I'm looking forward to the dialogue that this will create.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking off the top of my head, there's so many different topics that we can talk about.
100%.
Obviously, relationships come to mind.
Mommy issues.
100%. Like, we want to talk about
we'll get on food. We'll get on food.
Food is another one.
Food is another one.
And this one's like a pescatarian, and I get that, and I love that for her. But at the end of the day, I love meat.
We also love meat.
Just fish meat.
No, listen, that twisted. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
I am a pescatarian. I grew up in Salinas. Still, shout out to my Boricuas from Salinas.
Is that on the coast?
Yes. We're literally center, south, mariscos all the way, lobster, carrucho, all of it. Like, we're eating it. I grew up, like, my father was a fisherman when he was in Puerto Rico. So anything that did not sell in the fish market, homeboy was eating it.
Love that.
Homeboy was eating it. So I grew up eating like squid and everything that people shun because it didn't sell at the market. Some things were like too like, didn't want that. So my mom was making me. I'm telling you, they're like delicacies.
Your palate must be so fucking refined.
I don't know about refined.
JP, go to my closet right now. Go to my pantry. You're gonna see box mac and cheese and chips.
Listen, I don't cook it in my house, so it's as refined as my partner wants it to be.
You know what? Again, this is how we intersect.
I will say this. I could cook. I choose not to. Because my grandmother did. Like, at some point, she was trying to teach me, and I did. I can cook some rice.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trust me with, like, meals, per se.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, so, and I tend not to, like, lead with that. I'm always just, like, in my checkboxes when I'm trying to date somebody.
There's a couple things that
It's like, you must cook. You must clean. No, I'm kidding. I love cleaning. Can I say I love cleaning? I'm like I will clean. I'm like, you want to cook, and I'll do all the cleanup.
Feel free to clean 100%. My place. I'm not gonna say no. These floors need a good cleaning.
All right, check.
Oh my god! Yeah, and we got the funds now because we are conservative with our money, and we are grown and mature.
We're saving, and we're traveling.
Professional.
That's true.
So we've talked for a long time. Yeah. So let's wrap this up. And I just want to first of all thank you for wanting to do this, because it's not like normal for people to want to do this. And when people, like, I'll say this, there are people that have been in my life that have wanted to do something similar, but the urgency to do it isn't there, and they certainly don't have the will to do it. Really, I end up doing all the work. You've not been that. You've been a true partner through all of it, so I appreciate that.
I was actually, like, I've talked about it with friends about doing a podcast because we talk about all these topics, and I'm like, this would resonate with people. Let's like talk
would be great.
about it. So when you mentioned it, I was so about it. So we're like, let's pick a name, and literally within like a week span, we've been literally like
we have the concept, we have the name, we had all things. Yeah,
check us out. Shout out to our Instagram account.
Yep.
Right. It's live.
Actually, good point. I didn't even think of that. And
Yes,
we should, because it's branding, right?
Pitch.
So there's a couple things that I want you all to know. This is going to be hopefully a weekly show. We could switch it up, right? Because we're going to be traveling at some point very soon to Europe. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, but we don't want to miss content. You can find us on social media. My Instagram is at goobersnatch. That's spelled GOOBERSNATTCH. And what's yours?
At JP_instant.
Okay.
Super simple. And basic, to the point. Wait a minute, not basic. I'll take that back.
Definitely not basic. It's very
She's not giving basic.
No, for sure. But also, if you want to follow us on our podcast Instagram channel, it's at the Spill the Cafecitos podcast. And I'm sorry, I said it wrong. It's at Spill the Cafecito podcast, no S. So it's at THESPILLTHECAFECITO podcast.
Please follow us. Please like our items.
Yeah, anything that you see on the internet,
Correct.
like, comment. If you
Comments,
want to add
please.
to the conversation,
reach
by all
out,
means, do
reach
that.
out.
Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Spill the
Correct.
Cafecito podcast. And yeah, so that's really a quick rundown of who we
Correct.
are.
Any last spills of anything?
No.
As we're closing here.
No.
I'm just excited, honestly. Like, this is going to be a fun venture, and like this is our first episode that we weren't even supposed to be recording today. And
no, literally
jump right into it.
Literally, JP's like, we're going to come by your place. We're going to look at lighting. We're going to look at, how we're going to set up. I want you to teach me how to record and blah, blah, blah. And then, so we recorded the intro, and then it was like, all right, do you want to just do this? And he's like, let's just jump into it. And so here we are.
Episode 1, season 1.
Wow. Thank you so much.
I loved it. I'm so excited for us.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.